Alright everybody, welcome back to Clark's Place. Today we're taking a look at the Metallica topper, and we're going to go in and actually show these harnesses what I'm thinking about doing for the lights. These are actually some that I've taken out of a pinball machine. And then these kinds of sockets are for the flashers. Get him out of there. So that's kind of the socket for the flasher. And then these all came out of other games that I've cut out of games over the years that are for the GI. So you can see different ones have circuit boards and from different types of games. But I usually use these, cut out all the diodes and all that stuff, and just use daisy chain them all together for like GI. So these are what I'm thinking I will put in little speaker boxes of some sort that actually stay on, and wire these on, and then have a piece of plexi or something over this stage area, and have a couple of those underneath here that are shining up through the plexiglass. Very similar to how I did these guys here. I don't know if you can see what's underneath there. But I've got a couple lights here. I guess I could turn it on. You can see the lights I've got underneath the plexi, and then that kind of puts a little bit of drama and stuff underneath as you're looking up at them. You can see some under light coming up on them. So that is kind of the concept that I'm thinking I'm gonna do with these guys over here. So a couple of those shining up through some plexi on the drummer, and then probably some speaker boxes of some sort that I'll put that'll hide a light, and then maybe actually put a couple like big stand, like a tower of speakers, and it might just be out of something like this, that I cut this off like yay tall, like the size of the character, and then maybe recess this a little bit with a router or something, and then put a detailed picture of like speakers in that. And then if I've got a partition, like almost like a wall here of a 2x4 sticking up like of speakers, then I can put on the back side of that, I've got some like ultraviolet lights that I could have. They're actually a strip, like a little LED strip. I don't know, maybe, I think you could buy them 6 or 8 bulbs, or maybe it's 3 and 7. 3 and 7, I think they're called Matrix LEDs from Comet Pinball, and I'll put a link to that stuff down in the comments. But it might be a strip this long, I think, for the 7 that I've got, that might be perfect to kind of shine and angle to where it points at this and makes that whole Metallica glow. So I'll be jumping in and out of time-lapse here today as I do some videos, and probably show all the work in time-lapse, and then kind of review the work like I always do with a little live-action dialogue here. So anyway, we'll get started doing some stuff here today.
All right, do a little cutoff here.
For the stage, this is an old Titanic redemption game machine that Pops already took thinner to the backside and saw that graphical all come up. So this is just a piece of plexi that we've had laying around. Yep. We were going to use for something. And this is what I used to cut these. This just burns right through it. It burns right through it.
Sure does.
So now I got my stage. Just need to clean it up.
Yep.
Cool. All right, getting started here, getting things laid out, and taking the topper and putting it basically in the center. I'm trying to find the center of the base there, and then you'll see me finding the center of that platform that it's going onto, the wood piece there at the bottom, and get that kind of all squared away, traced out. Good little place to recognize where it goes back into, drilled a couple holes there in it, and then marked those, and now she's dead center. And then you'll see I put 2 screws in the back of that little angle iron there for wires to come through, and then I did a step bit and actually rounded it out a little more, because I'll have probably flasher wires going through there and regular wires as well. And then just kind of sorting through here, finding out which ones I want to use and where. So laying out all the lights there and figuring out kind of in my head as I'm going what I want. Do I want flashers here? Do I want GI lights here? And back to live audio. Okay, just to give you an idea what I'm doing here, I've got the big based ones are the flashers here, and I've got 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 main flashers that I'll have a speaker panel, something here that'll mount onto the back and flash and kind of flash up on the sign. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'll put another couple of the ultraviolet on the back side of that as well. So I'll have looks like a total of 10 GI. I may do another strip behind the drummer that is shining up with the ultraviolet as well. So just wanted to see how it laid out, and I'll figure out some little speaker boxes, something to block all of these, or something that they can screw to. Not sure yet, but that's kind of the layout. I'm gonna do some wiring and wire all those, daisy chain all those together, and then I'll have 2 different ones. I think the back 2 flashers will be on a separate flasher that flash with something else that go up on the sign, and then these front flashers will all flash at the same time with a different flasher. So that's the plan for now. Wiring it up. Alright, so I've got pretty much everything laid out there where I'm thinking that I want it, and then I go through and just kind of take that Milwaukee soldering iron and just knock off all the nubs that I cut off all the wires way long ago. They could be some that I've gotten in some collections, some that I actually took out of games, but just taking the soldering iron, taking each of those off, and then at the end you'll see me stretching out some wire. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do the wire yet, and I haven't done it yet. All this was recorded today, but you can take and you can put 2 wires together and daisy chain like each individual segment. But I was thinking about stretching a wire the whole length, and you'll see at the end of the video when I stretch out the wire. Yeah, I'm pulling the wire there, but I don't know if you can just strip a little section of the wire and then just solder that piece on, and that's kind of, you can see me kind of turn it to the left talking to my dad about it, about what I actually want to do there for daisy chaining all the wires together. So we'll see. Alright, to make these speakers, did a little test with my router and recessed down in, and then I'm going to take and cut out these Marshall concert speaker, probably just cut out inside that line, and then tape that or glue that down in after I've sprayed it all black. So I might cut, I think those are going to be about the right size. I made them 3.5 inches wide, so looks like they're right about the size of a 2x4. So if I just recess in, I don't know, the width of the actual cabinet there, might turn out cool. We'll see. Alright, so got those laid out, just kind of cutting the rough shape of the outside of that Marshall amp there, and I ended up grabbing the wrong saw there. I grabbed a metal cutting saw to cut the 2x4, but that's neither here nor there. So you see me start with the little Milwaukee saw, and then I grab the big boy there and cut them off. They look pretty close to the same size, but I ended up making sure that that amp went over the top of them, and then just squared the edges. I run over here to the little belt sander and kind of do a little work on it and get the faces flat, and then I wanted a little bit of a bevel edge on all of the, like the front face of them. And speaking of front face, here I'll let you in on a little inside secret. Is my father saying, you want it done right, you gotta do it twice. So I take and I trace the front onto the left tube before there. I trace, and it's on the back side of it without the beveled edges, so all that there was for naught. So I had to flip it over and trace it on that one again. Love it. So cut those out and then tested the router on another piece, and then just kind of going fleshing out that. I'm not really a woodworker. Never claimed to be, but I bought a nice router there, and that's the second time I've used it. So I wasn't really sure how to go about all this. I'm sure some woodworkers out there might have some other ways of doing it, to use a guide and all of that. I don't know how to hook up any of the guide or anything on it to get some straight lines. So I got the most of it routed out, and then I come back in after and do a little grinding to straighten up some of my edges. You can see I zoomed in a little bit with the camera and actually show I'm just trying to watch that blade and get as straight as I can, like freehand. I don't know how you drop it down in to start routing either, so I just kind of let the router do the work, turned it on, and just kind of let it go down in. So the edges of the where the speaker grill, I guess, goes was pretty wiggly doing it by freehand. I know that's the point of the router, is and I started just chunking it out there, and chunking it out was not going to work. I ended up chunking out the bottom of it on one side just a little bit, but yeah, I'm sure the router can do it with a guide. That would be awesome. I don't know how to do that, so just got out the grinder and just kind of buzz along the edge there, and ended up straightening up a lot of my wiggles, and it ended up turning out pretty decent there. You can see that line as I buzzed down there. That shot right there was pretty good. You could see it was pretty straight along with the camera edge there. And then I used the screwdriver and just kind of poked out those corners, cleaned up the corners a little bit. And it's up in the air, and it's a tiny little representation, so I a lot of the things I sweat some details for this. I'm not so much. It's just a static little display. Pops looked up one today that was like $50. You can actually buy a miniature Marshall amp stack with like an amplifier on top of it, but he chose not to spend it was either 50 or $100 for the little stack, and chose not to do that. So that may be an addition in the future for a realistic looking, actual detailed, that somebody spent hours and hours and hours on doing, or something like that. I don't know, but they were pretty cool. So I've taken some spray paint and just you saw me do the bottom side first that overhangs. That's why I've kind of got it overhanging the edge there. I sprayed on the underside of it again, and then actually did the amp boxes there, or speaker boxes, and then cutting out the second one, just zipping through there and cutting out what I'm going to use for the centers of the other speaker, and just kind of test fitting here, seeing how those go, and then trimming those to fit kind of the holes, custom fit for each of the speaker boxes. They're both way different, of course, because I did everything freehand, but they end up looking pretty decent as I set those down in. They're not glued or anything, but just kind of friction fit sitting down in there. So there you go. Alright, here's what I'm thinking it's going to look like. Got the big Marshall amplifier stacks in there. Couple of monster stage speakers. The little plexiglass is set. It will lay there, that I'll be able to put all the lights and stuff. Still got to make some little speakers, but I think I'm just going to make some boxes and set them there and have the little angled like stage boxes, and it'll just have a light pointed at guitar player here, guitar, drums, and I think that'll be pretty neat. Okay, so I think that's going to be the stage. I'm just leaving it kind of the how that black coated that wood base. You can kind of see it looks a little wood grainy-ish. I got all the front covered and the overlap covered that hangs off the pinball playfield under the underside. So I've got that covered too. The stanchions are coated all nice and black going up there. I don't know if it showed up on the video there. That actually I hit with some glowing paint just to see what it would show up as, and couldn't really see it through the camera, but maybe it showed up. I'll do a little quick thing of that. But pretty pleased with my little speaker boxes. Yeah, not bad for a 2x4. I might do a little bit more painting, like paint some little like chrome accents, like their cases for like road cases, because these have that similar, you can see on the outside edges of some speakers I just printed online. They've got the little dots in all the corners like hardware for crates. So I might do a little bit on that. There's where she goes. Routed me out some speakers. So until next time, getting more and more done.